All right, everybody, what an exciting time. And those of you who are inside my ICOR probably have seen quite a big change happening on the main website, inside the membership, inside the my ICOR application, when it just comes to branding, but it goes a lot deeper than that. I mean, we can really say that we have now a full AI team working for us inside this company or the part of the my ICOR end to end. And this is it's mind blowing every day. The more I see how the team evolves itself, right, and reinventing or inventing new things, if you can call it invention, this is insane. So let's dive today into the usefulness in businesses. And well, we both have to laugh a lot when we see these comments. AI is not working and it's not helping you to become more productive in business and so on, right, Paco? When we see what we are doing, well, for years already, leveraging automation and AI.
The point is that we have been obsessed with systems all day long. And I think that AI is the best representation of what a system is. If you have a system in place, it's amazing how it takes all the features and advantages of the theory of systems and you start leveraging at a speed that, well, I have never seen such a huge leverage, and how we are growing up every single, I would say, not even day, but every single hour and minute, because it's impressive. Okay, it's impressive. The more time you dedicate, the exponential result and the outcome grows well, I don't know the order of magnitude, but the thing is that finally we can, because systems theory is something really abstract, okay, and not so many people are able to understand it. But here, as you see tangible results, it's how you can understand, no? And the topic that we will talk today about agents and all this stuff, what it's optimizing a system constantly with every single interaction. And I think that there has never been a better moment to bet on systems and to leverage how you currently work today.
Yeah, and I was on LinkedIn and commented on a poll there where the question were asked, at what magnitude, just because you mentioned it, do you feel AI impacted your work and your business? So the options there was decreasing, one-fold, two-fold, three-fold, or bigger than five-fold. And I thought, what the heck, five-fold? It is at least 50-fold for us in the business, no doubt, no doubt. But I'm not joking. I'm not making things up here, because right now there is 28 AI team members, as we have to call them this way, because they got all their own personas and they've evolved in the business with their task. You really need to treat these like real people onboarding. You have to give them input, what they need to do. And the key here is the persistent memory, right? So this only works if they can keep evolving. But in the end, people always say, persistent memory and every AI should keep everything in mind, what I say and so on. That's nonsense. You cannot do this way, because AI will never know what is important to keep in mind. And this is the system that comes into play here. And I see also the question on YouTube, what setup did you use for creating your agents? So let's quickly talk about what's happening behind the scenes. I published a video on YouTube already, or several, and Paco also is on the channel sharing his setup for his personal AI
Knowledge system.
Yeah, let's call it this way. And what you see there, they all start in a single folder, and they all start communicating with AI to build this up. And when I look at this AI team that we have now running here, it started with Larry, which is Larry the Fox. And it started, in fact, with OpenClaw back then. I installed OpenClaw and I was amazed talking to this and getting a feeling there's really a persona behind this somehow, because of the soul and all these things made up, which is just, again, instructions for this AI to know who it is and what it should do. That's the thing that I just replicated, telling my own Larry. I made a folder. I started Claude Code, but you can start with Claude Cowork too. There's no difference in this, at this stage at least. And tell him who he is, what he's here for, and what are the things that he should do. And if you never built a business, never managed a team or a project, or if you never worked in a big corporate with team structures and communication systems and all these things, then you will fall short very quickly with this, because you lack the understanding of the underlying system. So for me, Larry was immediately an orchestrator, where I knew he is a personal assistant. he doesn't and he shouldn't have all the knowledge about the details that I want him to do. So many people have one assistant and, hey, let's create a thumbnail, create a website for me, create a blog post, create all these things, make an analysis of this report and all these things. And if you go to myICOR.com and you look up the team, you see all the 28 members there. They are professionals and experts in these specific fields that I just listed right now. And Larry is just a generalist who understands what I'm asking for. He's the translator between the agents and me as a human or Paco in the business, right? So whenever I ask, hey, can you create a thumbnail for this YouTube video? Or in fact, it's a full pipeline in the meantime. When I record my video, I have the transcript of my video. I hand it over to Larry and I say, let's publish this on YouTube. He goes out, he contacts Marty, who is the analyst for YouTube. He contacts Pixel, he is the guy doing the thumbnails. He contacts Pen, he is writing the blog post and also the title combination. These team members, thanks to the new Claude Opus 4.6 agent teams, can talk to each other while it's working. And this is the crazy thing. Larry hands off the work, and now these team members work with each other until they have the final product. They go to ClickUp, they create a task in ClickUp, they fill in the custom fields in ClickUp. They perfectly know. And all this works just because I gave them the rules that we've been living on for decades already. And that the foundation is ICOR, our methodology. And therefore they know what a BKM is, Business Knowledge Management System, Business Project Management System. When we have insights from a session, right, I say update the BKM and the SOP accordingly. They have standard operating procedures, not system prompts and all these things. They use the same wording and this works perfectly. And I think we made up, and that's where development and people creating these models came up with the terms of skills and, model, LLM, all these custom wording for the AI area, while we, as we teach in myICOR with the AI Like a Pro course, there are direct connections to real life. When we think about SOPs, right? They have skills, but in real world, you would give a standard operating procedure to a team member to follow these instructions every time they do a specific task. And now, when I applied this to the team, I realized they perfectly understand what this means. And why is this? Because they are trained on human data. So the conversations about productivity, team management, project management, all these things use common words. So if I treat them as actual, not human beings, they're animals, obviously, as we have shown. But if we treat them the same way as you would work with a team, they perfectly integrate in your existing business. And they understand what you mean because they are not thinking in technical AI terms. They start thinking in real world productivity terms and team management and so on, and team communication and all the things that we teach, obviously. So they know perfectly when we say, set up a project, they know what we mean by this. And this is really amazing to see. And that makes all of them really feel like they are individual entities with their specific strengths and weaknesses. And Larry is the guy who knows who to contact best for the job. And if there is nobody, by the way, there was Larry first, who is the orchestrator. And the second agent I created is Nolan, who is the HR person. So I created a HR, human resources, second, because this way Larry was able to ask Nolan and then Pax, who is the web search guy, that whenever we need anybody in our team to overcome a task that we need to do, and there's no expert yet, they will go out and hire a new agent, right? So they look for real people and their expertise and what they need to be good at to be perceived as good in their expertise. And then they create this new character around this with all the details this person needs to know inside the team. And this means there's really an onboarding process. There's a hiring process. There's a team charter. All these things that you have in real life live inside this AI team that we have in here. And I think this is crazy. But this is where everything is moving towards. There will be blurry lines between reality and the digital world more and more.
Yeah, and the thing is that we need to understand, no matter that we call them animals, person, or people, or whatever, we need to understand what's behind, okay? Because it's important to really understand why we need an agent to rule them all, and also why useful to think about systems when you are creating and designing this AI environment, because that's what's at the end. Okay, this is a system based on AI and taking advantage of using natural language to really do things differently and being able to delegate much easier, okay, and much faster. Because at the end, there are folders, files, and the important thing is that the moment that you bring databases to the table is the moment that everything really expands endlessly, okay, endlessly, because the more that you can store the information in a structured way, and the more you can create connections and retrieve information from different approaches and perspectives, is the moment that you are starting to leverage, because this is the beautiful positive feedback loop, okay? You are creating insights that are constantly feeding, okay? Feeding. And it's important to understand why we create that agent to rule them all. It's because it's much easier for the user, but also due to technical restrictions, okay? If we just have that initial Claude.md file that is the starting of everything, okay? In the Claude.md file, okay, and the markdown file that you create as a starting point when you start working with Claude, there you start describing the things. You can describe anything at all. You can describe an SOP, you can describe who you are, you can describe many things, okay? It's just being able to have a memory that doesn't disappear, because in every session that Claude markdown file will be imported, okay? So it has always the information that you have stored in that file. But the thing, and that's one of the latest articles that I wrote, is that if you start growing that file, there's a moment that you hit a ceiling, okay? Because there are limitations, talking about what's called the window, okay? The context window, that it's that you have a limitation about the memory that can be uploaded in a session, okay? And that's why it's so important that you start splitting things, and why having that orchestrator that at the end we can consider that it's like an index, okay? It's an index that you go there, and then that's the one that really delegate the real job to some other, let's call them profiles, files, or whatever, or SOPs, okay? That's the thing, that we are creating a tree, okay, of knowledge that allows to only use the knowledge that you need to use for every single task. And that's a habit that you need to take into account, okay? Try to create the specific sessions with specific purposes, okay? Because people are used to just chat on chatbots and this type of graphical user interface, and they start, just using one session for many different purposes. And there's a moment that the time delays, it degrades pretty fast, okay? It's the moment that, when there's a lot of information in just one session, things start becoming quite slow. But also, in the case of Claude Code and any other system, it starts compressing the information, and then the information that it's in the session then is not the right one, and that is the moment that you start receiving bad results, okay? So this orchestrator is not just that you want to have a right hand there in your business. It's important, and also it's important trying again to simplify every single agent to a very specific criteria, so that it's much easier to polish for AI the skills, okay, of that agent. It's much easier to just create a specific agent with, I don't know, graphical user interface and UX experience, knowledge, and skills, than trying to cover everything, okay? The same one that is creating the design is the same one that publishes, the same one that looks for information on the thing. That's chaotic, and also from a technical perspective. And that's why thinking in systems becomes crucial, okay? Because you have already interiorized that to achieve a goal, you don't need to think about the steps that you need to follow. That's what we have always called the project approach, okay? We need to think about a system that solves that problem, and then the byproduct is that you achieve that goal. And I will explain myself. For instance, when you start seeing and detecting these patterns that you are constantly creating, doesn't it make sense to create an agent to create agents? Because that way, more or less, all the agents will have the same structure, so it will be much easier for that orchestrator to delegate the things, and every single agent will have those points in common, okay, that creates system that makes sense, okay? Because if you start randomly creating agents without any criteria, without following any SOP, any standard, any quality assurance, it's really difficult to end up with a system that works properly. Here, everything makes sense, okay? And when agents start connecting one to each other, the way they pass the information, the way they retrieve the information, the way they search for it, the way that the files, the tree of folders, the database that you have behind, everything is interconnected. That's why this is not about just prompting, and it's having that system thinking approach that it's what we have always delivered with ICOR. And that's why it's so easy to use this approach in AI, okay? And that's why we are accelerating the way that we create courses, how we improve I don't know how many iterations we have done in the public website, but it's something that it's the latest stage in ICOR, okay? That refine that is constantly improving the system, okay, in each iteration. And in my personal use case with the mindset system that I created, that it's a system yet to manage my knowledge, I have forced the things that any interaction with the system needs to improve the system without effort for me, because that's the thing. We need to dedicate time, again, to think, okay? People are obsessed with executing, and they don't dedicate time to think. And the moment that you start trying to think, to figure things out, to look for patterns, it's really amazing when you ask for patterns to the system, okay, the AI system that you have created, how all the patterns are identified, and then you can start applying the exact same patterns, for instance, every single agent, or for the way that you will order the different things, the outcomes that you are expecting. If you create those standards and they are documented and they don't lose that memory, is the moment that the system is feeding itself with every single iteration. And I think that that's important, okay? Because we want systems that we don't need time to improve. And that's what we have achieved. In my case, with this system, and in the case of paperless movement with the myICOR app, okay? We have created a system that is constantly iterating in every single action that you do with it. And I think that that's important, because I think that that creates a difference, okay? Because that's the moment that you are not only not starting from scratch, that's well, one of the main principles of system thinking, but also you guarantee that every single day your system is improving. And I think that that's a life-changing thing. That's how the outcomes follow the exact same pattern. And I think that that system approach and designing that properly is crucial. And that's what we teach, for instance, in the AI course, but with a solid foundational one, that it's the ICOR journey and all the different, courses that we have developed in all these years, because at the end, you are thinking the exact same way, okay? The thing is that the outcomes and the speed is completely different, okay? But you are thinking the exact same way, and that's pretty easy for human beings, using the exact same mental models, okay? Workflows, processes, concepts, okay? Also, that's important, okay? Creating a glossary for your AI system so that you know what you are referring to, okay? When I say a project, they know what it is. It's not something that is not defined. It's properly defined, and the moment that you are speaking the same language, that's what we do with people in the membership and the community of the paperless movement. We are speaking the exact same language, and then that's how results come out.
Yeah, and I want to address a few comments that are all related to what you just discussed here. And let's start with our inner circle member, Vincent, here inside the myICOR chat. Hopefully there is a system to help queue things, so when things come back up, if there is service disruption. So just this morning, it happened, I worked with Claude, everything was down. End to end, Claude was down. And then I posted, and something we've been joking about already, that's the big difference. If a team member is on sick leave, it's just one member, right? But here, the whole team is gone. So you can't do anything working in the business if just one team member is away. Everybody will away. However, I worked in big corporate, 300,000 employee company. We relied on Google. And I remember very well the day where Google was down. Nobody else was working either, because everybody was depending on the digital systems to communicate globally, to get the emails, to know what is next in the project management system. All these things were down, so the business was down. So if people argue with these things, I think there is no argumentation behind this. It is the same issue as before. And that's something to keep in mind too. And there's so many things that you shared. Again, we can one-to-one directly correlate this to real work with real people in a business and in companies. Then there are also a few more comments on YouTube where Benjamin says, so I hear that you taught your agent the ICOR methodology. Do you provide a prompt for those in your ICOR system to teach our agents to think in that same way? Again, that's very important. ICOR gives you the foundations of setting up your business system. And that's what we see. The 95% of companies who fail to implement AI, I have no doubt that they have a lack in process mapping, understanding what they are working on a daily basis, things that can be automated. It was always already an issue automating things in the past. So in fact, with AI, it became much easier to automate things as it no longer is so strict that you need to set it up than it was in the past. And with the iterations that Paco was referring to, this is where we need to have a persistent memory or a knowledge base that is growing and iterating over time with each feedback that you give the system. Because you cannot think of all the things that happen in your business, but you need to have a foundational understanding. Okay, here's a work stream I'm repeating every day. I don't know, client proposal creation, right? You do this. If you do this always from scratch for yourself, this is already the problem. You don't need automation, you don't need AI. You need to sit down and think about, how do I do this actually? Do I have templates for this creation? All these things, and then you will become already so much more efficient doing things manually that you would be shocked how much time you're saving without any automation involved. And then people brought to the table automation, and that was too restrictive. Maybe a word had to be a bit different. The persona we are writing the proposal to is different. We have to adjust. And then people came up with all these different use case automations, very complex automation maps and all these things. And AI is now overcoming this gap because now you literally have somebody next to you. You can train while you're doing, let's stay with this example, while you're writing the proposal, you tell the AI what you're doing there. You let it go and say, okay, we have this client, we have this meeting minutes, create a proposal out of it. You get something back. It's probably not what you want. You realize the wording is off, it has no idea about the branding, and that should trigger the next things to do. Say, okay, we have a company name, and the company name was never mentioned in the proposal. So let's write this down in the business knowledge management. It is something that is set in stone, the company name. That goes in a long way with all other parts too. Branding, how we work, how we communicate, the mission, the values, all these things that usually should exist in a business from the get-go needs to be trained to the AI. And now we say training, if you already have a properly established business, if you already have properly set up workflows, then you have all the documentation and the knowledge already available that your team is relying to, that you're getting back to, that you're communicating on the outside. So you just need to hand over this to your new AI assistant and say, this is us, and you will be now part of this company and nothing else. And then it starts to create its own memory. And here the other comment on YouTube fits into this now. Self-improving system by your interactions, is that well established in my ICOR system as well? Sounds to me like you're saying yes, but that is astonishing and incredible. Yeah, it is incredible. So the thing is, again, it is not, you cannot think about that there is an entity sitting somewhere and learns about you and has a brain that is sitting there. Sometimes I'm spawning in the morning, I'm spawning 6 Larrys, right? And I know each of these Larrys is an individual, is doing exactly the same thinking, is doing the orchestrating. If I need 20 different thumbnails, Larry will spawn 20 pixels and they all get created in parallel. So that's the scaling that is impossible with human. You only have one human expert, and this guy and you need to make the prioritization for this person. Now we have experts that get cloned on the fly. And this is crazy, okay? So getting back to the self-improving system, it is the documentation. They all refer back in the CLAUDE.md that Paco mentioned. All there is mentioned how the system works, what we are, the basic understanding, who this person is, like Larry, you're an orchestrator, you're just here to delegate work and things like that. But then also there's a reference to an index file that gives the index, for example, about all the team members that we have. So Larry knows, based on this index file, who is available and who could do the job. It is like working in corporate. It's the same thing. If you need somebody to help, you go and go to HR. If there's nobody, you hire somebody. It's the exact same thing. And the self-training system here is just that whenever we have insights, all I say is make sure to update the BKM so the team knows, or improve I even say things like send Pixel to a training camp. He should train about this and become an expert in this area. And therefore he went out, it researched it, and these skills were added to the things. I don't care how it's created in backend. I don't open up the skill file and so on. And you can call me out on this. But to me, I see how amazingly this is working when it comes to this the increasing knowledge. Every day I open up, I have to ask less and less things. They perfectly. And when we say it's related to ICOR, it's just because they know about ICOR. This is our business. The knowledge, the decades of knowledge of articles, blog posts, videos that we publish, the coaching transcripts, all these things. That's Paco and me. Obviously, they need to know this. And obviously, it makes no sense to give you all this knowledge for your business. We never believed in templates. We always kept saying, if you download a Notion template from somebody, it's so specific that it cannot work for your specific use case. So that's why ICOR teaches you the foundations that you need to have, or at least lets you evaluate how well established your productivity system is in your business already. And based on this, you will be able to hire just a new person like you would hire a new team member. And if you're a solopreneur, you just need to realize all the hats that you're wearing. And it's, for decades, without even computers, people talk about these things. Think about all the hats that you're wearing in your business, all these things. Yes. And now I can think about all the hats that I give to the new agents that I want to hire. And I think about the one that is easiest to automate. It's the same thing. There's no change from automation to AI whatsoever. It just became easier to do this. And you just need to talk to the system. You don't need to know code. Nothing. Just start talking. But again, and what is the quote that we keep saying? AI makes the capable faster. It doesn't make the clueless capable. And this is where I'm not so worried about that everybody will be able to use AI. The AI slop everybody is talking out there. If I go to YouTube and I see all these amazing businesses you can build with the AI, and now seeing what we are leveraging AI for, these are complete different universes. That one people are selling you something they've just figured out, and the other thing is based on decades of experience using something that gets now just accelerated and better. And that's why if you're an expert in something, this is your time now. This is your time, because now you can start focus on the things to be creative, to really focus on your expertise and forget about all the admin and work stuff. I don't think that these jobs will go. And well, Paco, for the last word, maybe you share from your own company with 70 people, right? And the impact of AI and how it actually was a benefit for most people in there.
Yes, for sure, because I think that AI removes all the friction of tasks that are not being thought for human beings to be performed, okay? The thing is that when you have no choice, well, you have to do them, okay? But the moment that you get completely released of those tasks is the moment that you dedicate your brain for the things that matter the most. And the moment that, like us, that we are close to 25 years old, the marketing agency, we have here with an expertise that it's amazing in many different marketing areas. And the moment that you release those people of those tasks that don't really deliver value, okay, is the moment that they are dedicating 100% of their time. Well, right now, we can say it's 80%, okay, just 80%, or just say that 50% instead of the opposite, okay, that it was 20% going to the real talent of the people, okay, and the knowledge, and the rest was executing things that once that creative process has been done, it's pretty straightforward, okay. Now we have reversed that percentage, and now people are dedicating 80% of the time to really dedicate time to think, to be creative, to design, to create the structure and definition of the solution, whereas the solution itself, it's executed by AI. And I think that that's something really important, okay? And that's the moment that you can see in your company who's really adding value, okay, to the company versus some other that are just executors, okay? People who are just executing something that we are not going to say that it's easy, but not as easy as hard, okay, as the other part, okay, because companies deliver value when they have simplified something that it's complex, okay? It's what we have done here in the paperless movement and with ICOR, that we have simplified to the highest, okay, at least to the highest level that we have been able, okay, something so complex as cognitive science and system thinking. And the exact same way that we have perceived how people who went through the ICOR journey, the ICOR membership, and all the paperless movement stuff, is that they have changed the way they approach productivity. Now it's a moment to change the approach to AI, okay? As always, people get worried about losing jobs, about what about outage? Well, I remember when voice over IP started, okay? And well, here again, I bet on technology. And most of the people were telling me, man, you are crazy. What if the internet connection goes out and then you cannot talk to the other world? And I said, well, I think that the companies behind that technology should have taken that into account because they see the future, okay? The future is the exact same thing of when Google started becoming email, delivering the service of email servers. It was exactly saying, how the heck are you gonna outsource that to Google? You don't know where the servers are. It's much better to have the server here in your office, okay? And then you manage all the email accounts of the company. I have been through so many changes in the way that we should approach the things that this is another one, okay? Another one, well, people who don't understand the technology are afraid. People who are conscious that they are not delivering the value of some other people, okay? In the they see that there's a threat out there, but at the end, the good ones, okay, the ones that deliver value with technology, you leverage, okay, you compound, you work much better, you increase speed, you increase quality, you deliver much more real added value to the market. And that's the most important thing. I think that the moment that you are dedicating most of your time to put your talent, your knowledge at the service of others, is the moment that you are really, okay, delivering something. And also, by the way, it's a way of enriching yourself because here, even with ICOR, that it's a methodology that we have delivered the case, blah, blah, okay, all the story. But we are receiving approaches coming from AI that are really insightful for us, not just by better understanding the methodology, but to help others to understand because we say, well, what the heck? This approach explains perfectly this workflow, this concept. We can use it. So we are improving thanks to that technology. I'm here with the personal knowledge management system that I've created. Well, it's constantly creating itself, okay? But the thing is that the insights that I'm receiving, the connections that I've always ambitioned, okay? Because that was something that started with men, okay? That you say, well, look at all the related things that appears here out of the blue on the sidebar based on the text that I'm typing right now on real time. Well, that's what you can deliver right now, okay? Because you can train with information from the outer world, okay? You can take it to habits, but also to a strategy. If you start, for instance, looking for mental models about the best entrepreneurs out there, okay? People who in the history made amazing things like, I don't know, Henry Ford, okay? And what were the mental models that those guys were following? For AI, it's much easier to understand the mental model, to put it into practice, to be fed with an insane amount of knowledge and information that I cannot process. It's not just understanding the mental model behind, but how the heck I'm going to be able to manage all that information and then deliver something that is useful for me in the middle of the storm, because that's the thing. Busy professionals are always in the middle of a storm. They are not, as we always say, calmly on an island, okay, dedicating 3 months to research, okay? No, you need to have those outcomes in real time in your current situation. And that's what AI allows, okay? And that's how you, for instance, detect pattern. Talking about pattern recognition, it's something that I'm amazed. Every single day, I see that AI detect a pattern that for me, it's life-changing. And if I don't understand the pattern, I say, please, explain it for a stupid guy like me. And then I understand. And the way that I'm connecting the dots, it's amazing because for me, it doesn't matter. That's why I was always against that amazing, what was it? The chart of ideas, okay, on Obsidian, for instance. For me, it was useless. It was a lot of bubbles with a lot of lines. What the heck, man? I don't understand anything. My crazy brain is so crazy that no matter that I write it down here and I see the the different circles and the connections, for me, it doesn't say, no, you need then to go to the local node and then you understand. But then if I go to the local, I get removed, okay, of the overall perspective. All that thing is what AI delivers in a natural way, in a way that I can understand, okay? I can start defining and creating a glossary of the things that are interesting for me. It doesn't matter if it's a hobby or if it's something related to companies, if it's something related to finances. It doesn't matter the topic and the area of knowledge. AI can systemize that and deliver glossaries and ways of connecting the ideas that for you are really amazing. And then based on the use cases, you just need to start sharing daily, constantly. And that's something that's why I love journaling, okay, at all levels. But the moment that you start journaling, you just journal, explain what happened to you with a specific situation. And AI is able to deliver the explanation, okay, and creating the general concept, the general workflow, the understanding of that behavior that you have just faced is the moment that you can start replicating and you say, well, now I understand the concept behind them. I can start applying the exact same concept, the exact same workflow, the exact same insight to any situation that I consider that it's more or less similar to the one that I faced previously. And this is insane because also the feature of summarizing things that are similar, okay, in just a small briefing that I can quickly digest, understand. And if you just get 2 or 3 insights per day, it's amazing how you are growing yourself as a human being thanks to AI. The thing is that you need to be backed by a system, okay? And the system needs coherence, needs a structure, needs understanding. You need to understand the system. It's not the system of some other guy out there. It's your system, the one that you have think, designed, and deployed. And I think that that's one of the most important things and aspect of this new technology that the ones who understand will leverage and the ones who don't will suffer like in any other revolution, okay? And this is, well, it's a revolution because the change, it's amazing, but even more, the speed of change, okay? We haven't lived in a speed of change with such an order of magnitude, and that's why we are, well, overwhelmed, surprised. I don't know how to express the feeling because we haven't, I remember the 2000 with the internet. That was really amazing. I laugh a lot when I see on the old media, trying to explain what internet was really complicated to understand what the heck internet was, okay? And, well, I cannot talk about the services behind the internet, okay? That's something that it's the second layer. But here is exactly the same. We have seen the revolution and quickly the MCP, that was a revolution the moment that those appeared. Then the agents, then the skills, then we need to understand all those concepts and how to put them into action. Because if we don't understand the concepts behind what's behind the scenes, it's impossible. It's so abstract. It's like, trying to understand philosophy. If you don't see specific use cases of those concepts and workflows in action, if you don't understand what's behind, it's really difficult because it's not easy, okay? It's not easy, and that's why we are here, okay? To make things easy for the people who don't have the time, the knowledge, or whatever, or both, generally both, okay? Because it's impossible. You need to be specifically dedicating time to understand all these things, and that's the beautiful thing about our business, okay? That we love this, and we need to know about this to keep our business growing, okay?
Yeah, and just one last word about outage. It's the same for anything else that we talked about. You need to bet on the things that are established, and in AI, nothing is established yet, so we're still in the beginning of all this. But there are a few companies that you hear every day in the news about, right? So we bet on Claude. I mean, even governments are using it for security reasons and all these things when you worry about security and privacy. The thing is, if you always want to have the best thing, but for free, then you really have to change your mindset once and for all. I cannot hear this anymore. And if I think about, I keep every day $100 per month for Claude, it would be, I don't know, 50,000 per month hiring all the people that would do the job. And then I only have them for, well, if they're 8 hours here, they would work probably 4 hours efficiently and all these things then. And this is just a joke. So people who are complaining about this have no clue why they need it and what it will do. Because if they would see clearly the return of investment. And again, ICOR provides you the understanding to make informed decisions what you use it for. And I'm pretty sure if you identify something that you do in your business, that you hired a lot of people or that you're fed up doing yourself, and you realize, man, if I can do this one thing with AI and I can hand this over and I free up 2 hours per day with my time, and I always valued my time at $5,000 per hour. From day one, when I launched the paperless movement in 2018, that was my hourly rate, even that I wasn't charging it back then. But that's how I valued it, to give the right prioritization to the things that I do. So if there was no return on investment, it made no sense. But if I got a new productivity tool that saved me just 30 minutes per day, that was it. That was $2,500 that I was able to create or get more money by doing things that actually making money. And that's the mindset that people who ask for free things, they probably, I don't know, if they are children with the parents and they don't need this or whatever. There's nothing for free in there. And if you want to have a Mac Mini and you run local models and so do all this, good luck, right? But if you want to have a sophisticated system that has no outage, well, then you go for this. And I just mentioned that, now close the loop, that this morning Claude had an outage. Yeah, but I wasn't the only one. So the same for Google. When Gmail was down, well, you could expect that half the world we've been working with, or even more, had the servers down too. So nobody was working. So what are we comparing here, or what are we worrying about when we've been sending letters in the past and they didn't arrive in the right time, or they were on the way for months and things like that, but we were very fine with. And there's, the business was closed in the evening. Yeah, that was normal. And now everything needs to be up. So I think there needs to be a mix of this mindset where you be okay with 90% again, with 80% again, with the output, and don't treat also AI to be perfect in everything they do. Because in the end, it's just a mirror of yourself and how well you trained AI. And this probably also shows how well you train your own employees in the business too. So think about it.
Yeah, and also I would like to say, well, two things, two last thoughts, because, well, we are talking double of the time that we were supposed to talk. That's what happens when you talk with passionate people about a topic, like Tom and myself, and also people who talk a lot, no matter the level of English that we have. But the thing is, talking about technology, if you know how to use it, it's always an investment and never an expense. I've been working for more than 40 years with technology, and that's what has happened always, no matter the type of technology. And the second thing that I would like to mention, we have to think that after all this AI that seems like chemistry or something untangible or something that it's a miracle or whatever, it's just files and databases, and that's it, okay? And software running, so nothing has changed in the essence, okay? We are not talking about biological cells and something like that. No, so you can perfectly migrate from one company to the other, because right now, for instance, we have a new feature that Claude has launched that is importing all your information coming from ChatGPT, for instance. So at the end, we are talking about the exact same material, okay, that we have been using for decades without any problem. So if you know what you are doing, you can perfectly download, or if you know technology, okay, you have been synchronizing all these files and databases in the cloud so that you can retrieve them from any other system and whatever, and start not from scratch with some adaptations if needed, okay? But it's something that you can feel safe and sound because nothing has changed in the essence, okay, of the things that are in the underlying layer. And I think that that's important to take into account, because we will see, because obviously all these, because we are talking about this Claude or OpenAI, Google, all these, they are not people on a basement, with a computer, a rack of 2 Macs, okay? We're talking about companies that have a lot of resources and that they are really interested in you consuming their. So I think that the exact same way that we think that, well, if a car broke, well, we have options, okay? We can call for help, we can buy another car, whatever. it will happen exactly the same with this type of services. And I have always said that for me, it has always been a miracle to connect to google.com and always find the text box and being able to make a search. There's a lot of complexity behind having that system alive. They are replicating the things. It's like Amazon. How the heck? I have never been not able to buy something on Amazon. So they are really interested and they are putting a lot of resources to make those companies trustable. Okay. And I think that is the way we should look at that and bet on those companies, no matter the price. Okay. Because if you use it properly, as we have seen here, it will be an investment. Okay. It won't be an expense at all. And I think that with that approach, and you will find a little bit of calmness. In my case, I have always bet on technology, and for me, it has been the thing that brought me here. Okay, and I'm really happy and feel safe and sound. So I wouldn't hesitate about those dramatic things, especially because what Tom had just said. If you are really well, and what can we say after a pandemic, okay, a pandemic all over the world? We didn't expect that, and here we are. Well, the ones that we are, obviously, some of the people weren't so lucky, but I mean, talking about the business as well, we were able to find those solutions that we need to improvise at that moment. I cannot think about all the problems that I suffer at those dramatic times, okay, with that level of uncertainty, because nothing happens. If that happens and we are able to move forward, well, in the day-to-day life, we shouldn't be suffering because of those outage or things that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lion on YouTube, he just upgraded to the inner circle. So welcome to the show, and we will see us tomorrow maybe.
Thank you.
In the
Thank you so
coaching.
much.
Yeah. All right,
you make
guys.
This possible.
That was it for today, and we will catch you guys up next week again or in the inner circle tomorrow. And
yeah, see you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.